welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Terrence.
What's up?
All right, guys, we're back. This episode, we're going to talk about Dr. Sleep. This is the sequel to The Shining, obviously based on Stephen King's work, directed by Mike Flanagan. Terrence, you had a chance to see this movie. I'm very interested to know what you thought, but tell folks about the plot of the movie first.
Well, The Shining came out in 1980. The novel came out in 1977. Fun fact that a lot of horror fans probably know. Stephen King hated the movie.
Yeah, he's not a fan of
the movie at all because it deviated so much from the book. But the movie is like a classic. Like, It's so good. Like, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So when I heard that they were I didn't know that there was actually a sequel. The book came out in 2013.
Oh,
so this book came out like 6 years ago. And I didn't know that existed because I've never read The Shining. I just know the movie, but I do know that he just doesn't like the movie because of reasons. But Kubrick is an amazing director. So.
Right, and apparently, and obviously not a part of the real review, but apparently I saw a blurb that King liked Dr. Sleep because it fixed some of the things that Kubrick had changed. Which is interesting. It doesn't.
The interesting thing about the movie, it doesn't necessarily fix them. It kind of, I guess, it fixes it by omission. Because this movie it starts with Danny. He's the kid from the original movie. His father at the end of The Shining. The movie's 40 years old. Jack ends up dying. Right. Because he goes crazy, and they escape. Him and his mom escape the Overlook Hotel. Jack freezes to death. So he goes on with life, but right after that, the kid's fucked up. Like this hotel tried to kill him.
Right.
And like he's kind of mute for a couple years afterwards. Him and his mom moved to Florida, and so he doesn't really talk. But the thing is that the woman in 237, if you've ever seen I don't know if anyone that's watched The Shining going to 237 is kind of like all of the ghosts are coming after him, and Dick Hallorann he teaches him a technique to kind of like trap them so they're no longer coming after him. So that's part of the story. So finally he traps like the last one, which happens to be with a woman. He traps her and then he's able to talk again. Cut to 2013 and he's an alcoholic and he's a piece of shit.
Like he's Ewan McGregor's character.
Yes, Ewan McGregor. He's just a terrible person. He does something super foul in the beginning of the movie. I'm like, yo, that's wrong. Yeah, that's really terrible.
That's funny.
But Cliff Curtis, our good friend Cliff Curtis, he meets him in Massachusetts, of course, because that's where all of King's works take place. And he's like, look, you look like you need help. So he takes him to AA, and AA is religious, whatever. So he gets better, and cut to 2019. And that's kind of where the movie takes off. There's this cult that. In the very beginning of the movie, you learn that there's this cult that kind of feeds off of people that shine. Well, the movie is called The Shining because it's basically people with special powers. And apparently throughout King's work, people have that in different books of his, but they just call it different things in different books. But this cult, I don't know what they're called because I haven't read the book, but they feed off of it. And they're like the big bad in this movie. And it's from there they meet there's this little girl that has she's stronger than Danny ever was, and like she's a badass. This is a little black girl. Oh, she's mixed. She's a badass, and they find her, and they're trying to chase her. That's about the most of the plot that I don't want to give away too much, but the movie itself is really good. Yeah, I really like the movie. It's 2.5 hours long.
That's a bit long.
That's long. It's really long, but it works. Like Flanagan did, he actually came to King and was like, look, I am a fan of your work. I want to do this book. Cause he did, Gerald's Game for Netflix. He also directed that.
Which one?
Gerald's Game.
Oh,
same director.
I really like Gerald's Game.
That movie's really good. Like, so it's the same director.
Yeah, all right.
He also did a movie called Hush and
I've never seen that.
Oculus, another horror movie.
I heard that was
Oculus.
very good.
Yeah, he did that too. Yeah. So apparently this guy is really good.
Never see
I
that.
want to see Oculus, and I've never seen Hush, and I heard that was really good as well. I want to see those two movies now that I know that it's him, because Gerald's Game was really good. And so is this. It's a 4 out of 5. I'm giving that right now. But his style is really, it really works. Like, the movie is tense throughout. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily, like, again, if you've read the book, you kind of know. I'm assuming he changed some things to kind of make it fit with the movie and the book at the same time. Okay. And I think the ending of this is a little different as well. The performers were really good. Ewan McGregor, he plays an alcoholic really well because he was in Trainspotting. He played a drug-addled, like, psycho in that movie. Yeah. The little girl, she's really good. She's got this, because she's so good. She's like, she calls it magic. Yeah. Like, when she was, they have a scene of her when she's a little kid. She's like, I know magic. And then she does this little dope thing. She's kind of arrogant to a fault, right. but her shine is like better than anyone else's. What's her name? Rebecca Ferguson is in this from, I think you said, from
the Mission Impossible.
She's like the main bad guy in the movie. She's really good.
I really like her in everything dope. I've seen her.
Overall, like, it's a slow burn because it's 2:30, but like, if it doesn't try to, like, tread the same material that the original does, because most of the time sequels, what they do is, like, they'll take the original and then just rehash it.
Sure.
In a slightly different way. No, this is like a sequel. It's a totally different story, but it comes back, like, the subject matter comes back to the original movie.
So that's what I was going to ask. Like, its connection back to The Shining, does it? And obviously, you haven't read The Shining or Dr. Sleep, but as far as the movie is concerned, the Kubrick movie, does it feel like a logical progression? Like, could you sit and watch The Shining and then
you can watch these back to back and it will make perfect sense. This movie actually explains a lot of what happened in the first movie, because the first movie is like, okay, there's this family in this hotel. This hotel is evil, and it basically, the hotel in the first movie, it fed off this family's problems, because the family was already fucked up before they got to the hotel. It was fractured from the get go, but like it explains why. In this one, it kind of explains why this hotel did that and, like, what The Shining is. Because Halloran in the movie, he explains it, but, like, this explains it a little bit more and shows what other people can do with it. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Like, I really, really liked it. I could easily sit and watch it again, even though it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Yeah, if you are a fan of The Shining, don't go in expecting it to be the same thing, because Kubrick is one of the best of
all time, right?
Yeah,
that's a difficult bar.
Yeah, that's a high bar to hurdle over, and it's just not going to do it. But, like, this guy is really good. Like, it does circle back to the original movie. There are some Easter eggs that, like, if you've seen the original movie, there was one scene I'm like, oh, I recognize that office. But if you like this movie, if you like the first one, don't go in thinking it's going to be the first movie. It's its own thing, and he does it really well. It's just a great movie all around. Like I said, 4 out of 5. Okay. Like, I really like it a lot.
All right, there you go. So there you go, 4 out of 5 for Dr. Sleep. Make sure you check out, obviously, The Shining. It's been out for a bit.
40 years old.
Before you see Dr. Sleep. And also, I mean, this is just a side note, I'm not a horror movie fan at all, but Gerald's Game is really, really good.
It is.
And that's on Netflix, like Terrence said. So I would check that out too, after you check out Dr. Sleep, which is in theaters right now as you're listening. And we will see you guys next time.
Take it easy.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.